Welcome back, coaches. This is the Coaching 101 podcast. I am Daniel Chamberlain. We are at the Kentucky Athletic Administrator Association Conference. I'm still trying to chew that word up from the first time I said it this morning. The conference has been amazing. I've met a ton of good coaches and administrators. Thank you so much to Gary McPeak for setting up all of today's guests for the show. I realize when you hear this, if you're hearing it live, welcome. If you're hearing the replay here in a few weeks, it won't be as live, but Coach McPeak put a ton of time and effort into getting all these guys lined up. And we're joined by Jeremy Dulaney now, which is Athletic Director, and the heir to the throne for Coach McPeak's spot is what he just told me.
Yeah, that's right. So our school is relatively new, Frederick Douglass High School in Lexington, Kentucky. And Gary actually started that school the year before it was actually opened up. You know, as an athletic director, you got to get a lot of things in motion, and so he did all that work. And then I came on the first year we were open as an assistant AD, and then as he entered retirement, well, he's back, but he entered retirement,
all 4 days
couldn't stay away. He retired, and then I stepped in his place. So
that's awesome.
Kind of cool.
We just had the president of the KAAA on in the last episode, and he was talking about trying to find. I was asking lots of questions to find a new ADs and like how do you mentor them, and he was talking that's what he wants to really push through administrators is this mentorship process. So
Sure.
Getting young ADs trained before they have to step into the role, or maybe they had to step in too fast and quickly getting them on board. So it sounds like you found the perfect path.
I did. You know, Gary taught me quite a bit. This job doesn't come with an instruction manual, really.
Right.
And each school district is unique in itself. And then even within a school district, every school is unique. And our school was even more unique because we were creating an identity. We didn't have an established identity. And so just some things as simple as paperwork and just some of those things that you, as a coach, you're not as familiar with on the AD side. He helped me out a tremendous amount with that, so that hats off to him.
We're here with Ace Sports. So Ace Sports is the best in the business. Mark's waving at me. Hi, Mark. We've got this giant board set up, this 10 by 20 foot monstrosity of a. It's the best demo thing in the building, by the way. If you're walking through, you can't miss this giant board. But really, what Ace Sports is bringing is like this new wave of fundraising that's using ad dollars, and which I understand that's tax write-off for businesses. So we get to draw businesses in and give our school money. We do it through this instrument, through this vehicle, but really it applies to all athletics, and it can develop a school so quickly. And so what I want to talk to you about today really was how are administrators, hearing about these different resources. So we'll go there first, but then later on talk about how do you get that buy-in, how do you pitch it up to the board, school boards, or whoever's making these votes to say, hey, Ace Sports, come in and give me a $500,000 board, or whatever it is.
Yeah, sure. So we're actually in the early stages of looking into this, and met the Ace Sports guys. It was a name that I was not as familiar with, and come to find out they're trying to move into Kentucky and some of these other areas. If you're not here, you don't. This thing is. It's really. I want this thing in my basement to watch the March Madness on. This thing is incredible.
We could get the draft on it today,
right?
Actually.
That would be pretty amazing. Obviously, drew me in. Me and my assistant AD are here, and so we come over to look at it. Didn't even realize that the podcast that I would be speaking on today was the same company that I was talking to yesterday, and an amazing product. In terms of, in our particular situation, our district, it's a variety of schools, and so this would be self-funded. But when you look at it and the way that they're able to present sponsorships, the big thing for me when I go to basically try to create those kind of partnerships, and I call that a partnership for a reason, is we want to be beneficial for that business. As a guy whose father came from the business world and has his own business, I recognize the value that we try to give to those businesses. I will tell them, if I don't think that we're right for you, we'll sell you a banner, but I'm not going to try to get you on the hook for one of these large-scale purchases. But we're also a school that has a lot of traffic, and so I feel like when I walk in, I think that we give you incredible value, and it's truly a community benefit. We're not just a billboard. You can donate, you can sponsor, truly sports programs that are helping your community, sometimes your kids, sometimes your nephews and nieces. And so I think that there's a lot of value in that when you can create more traffic for your business, but also create a true community partnership and help the youth. I think it's a win-win situation.
I love what you said about partnership, because in fundraising for so long, schools and fundraising efforts have always been like an energy sink, and like people are just throwing money into a pit, and we talked about it in the first hour. You get a knick-knack, you get a little thing that's mass-produced and it's cheap, and you won't even have it in your house in 2 years, but you've paid some amount of money so that you can watch your kid have a cool jersey on,
sure,
right? A new helmet, because now safety's important, right? We've got to have CTE and all this stuff coming out, and we want to take care of our kids. So now you feel obligated to buy this crappy little thing. We've changed that, right? We've gone from where we are a place that people are like, it's fundraising season again, to like, we are now an asset, right? If you go with Ace Sports, you are now an asset to the community, because the local car dealership, the local tractor dealership, I don't know what all y'all have up here. I'm from Northeast Oklahoma, so we got
everything.
Yeah, right? The ATV store, I live between two lakes. The local boat store can put up an advertisement. The construction company, the parent-owned companies can now advertise with you. They get their little tax write-off. Yep. They get their name known to the community better. There's a little, I'm from Jay, Oklahoma, and there's a student I taught and coached at one point. His dad has like a baseball skills development company, right? Like he teaches young kids how to be better at swinging the bat and throwing the ball. Never heard of him before, right? And
sure.
If I wouldn't have taught his kid, I would have never known.
Sure.
But we get to somebody like that, and we get an ad on a billboard, and now every kid or parent out there as a kid that's in youth baseball is like,
sure.
I need to use it. So we've literally gone from this energy sink to now we are an asset where we can help you push your branding, your company even bigger.
Sure, yeah, and I think if you're a parent sitting in the stands and there's a brand, a little mini commercial, or again, I wish the people could see it, because these ads are not, some of the companies have ads and they're lit up ads, but this is graphics, it's moving, it's engaging, it's really nice. If I'm a parent and there's a local car dealership that's got a sponsorship up there and I'm in the market, I know that they help support my kids, so absolutely. I feel like I need to at least go hear what they've got to say, and I think that that's all businesses are looking for when they're looking for, pulling in clients that maybe aren't familiar with the brand or the product. If nothing else, hey, it's truly a community partnership, and I think there's a ton of value in that, and that's what makes this really, really interesting.
So we're talking about Ace Sports a lot, but really there's a lot of things out there people use for fundraisers, and you definitely should look into a video board if that's what you're doing. But what are, like, when someone comes up to you with some fundraising idea, and fundraising is a big topic in football, right? I'm a football coach, and I know that if we don't hustle our tails off, there's things we can't have, and now the kids don't want to come because football is not comfortable and fun, and we can't make it easier, which speaks to the generation, I suppose. But so what are things that, like, what are you looking for in a good fundraiser to ensure that, hey, I'm going to pitch this to the board?
Sure, yeah, you make a great point. I always tell our coaches, the big thing for us is I want kids to have opportunities and memories, because I think that those memories, when you talk about high school athletics, it's one of the things that it's part of the reason why you probably are coaching, because I could probably guarantee it's not the money, right?
Not a chance.
But those things, and they really stand out. The problem is those things cost money,
sure.
Because you've got just transportation alone is incredibly expensive. Equipment in terms of football, incredibly expensive, well, the most expensive. And you've got to generate funds for that. In terms of ideas, coaches will come to me with ideas. Some individual sports, we give them their own thing. That's, to me, that's not to harp on the board, but that's a great thing. If I've got a girls' soccer game on a Wednesday night or Thursday night, they can do their own thing on this board, and football can do their thing on this board, and then we can have entire athletics sponsorships, and so there's just a lot of flexibility there. You've got the traditional, the car washes, the mulch sales, the flowers, the pies, the cookies, I don't want to shout out specific groups, but the fundraising platforms that you can do.
If they're good for other coaches,
sure.
We want to
some
put
are
that name
good,
out.
some are okay. There's probably like anything, like an automobile or anything else. There's probably good, better, and best with all those. There's those things. and you can generate some good money, but just the amount of revenue that you have to generate and ticket sales just is not going to cut it. Officials are more expensive than they've ever been before. Uniforms, just equip, everything. It costs. And I don't know about other districts, but we get some money, but we don't get all the money we need. And so fundraising is on to the point that when I hire a new coach, one of my questions is, what's your fundraising plan, and how do you plan to implement it? And if they don't give me a 12-month plan, that's a ding on the application. I'm probably giving away some secrets here if they watch this, but I think, listen, if you are an up-and-coming coach and you're walking into an interview and you don't have a fundraising plan, you need to create one. Reach out to some veteran coaches. What do you do? And try to implement the same thing, because it's a big part of what we have to do in modern day high school athletics.
Yeah, we all have an X's and O's plan, right? We all have.
Sure.
We're going to read a backside defensive end and make a zone run play out of it, but you better have a way to fund the program.
Sure, and if you're a head coach, I mean, there's X's and O's is a big part of it, but man, that's not it. All that other stuff is really important. And fundraising being probably one of the biggest ones.
So if you have to go pitch a big ticket item, we know A Sports comes with a price tag, right? And it's the sticker shock value that every administration looks at and goes, oh man, I don't know. But they have a solid plan behind it that gets you there, and they walk you to the promised land. I hate to say it that way, but do you have a hard time selling that to your board? How does that look?
Well, to be honest, I'm about to find out.
Hey.
So we're going to try to do what we can. Again, if I had to predict, I'm going to say it's probably, if you can make this happen, you can do it, but probably not. Don't expect some from us. We'll give you the green light to do the facility upgrade, but you got to foot the bill, right?
Yeah.
The thing that, to me, the most interesting thing, and we've seen other companies, there's other companies, is the price tag is obviously, there is some sticker shock there probably, but the plan that they have to help you generate the revenue and to really, I tell you what, we've been talking football. We'll use it. It's literally the tush push. They literally, like, when you talk to these guys, they're like, you get us on the one, we'll punch it in.
Yeah.
And it's almost guaranteed. And so that is worth the sit down interview and just talk and see if we can get some of our current community partners and maybe some potential community partners that, honestly, that just a banner inside the stadium doesn't cut it.
No.
They're looking for something bigger and better. And I think that getting them in that room, and they're closers. That's what they want to do. They want you to get them in, and they want to come in and close. And if you're an athletic director, you might, you were probably a pretty decent coach at some point, or a good coach, great coach, whatever, and you've transitioned to this lifestyle, but you probably weren't in sales. And so there is a potential that maybe that's not an area of strength for you. I know a lot of ADs it is, because we all kind of sell ourselves at some point in time, but at the same time for some it's not. And so to be able to have a group come in and do that for you, I think is tremendous.
Yeah, the A Sports plan, and we'll talk quite a bit about them here in this section, just because I think they're doing it better than anyone I've ever seen before, where they come in and walk through and teach you how to be a salesman. You just said it. And we talked about it with the president of the KAA board on the last session, is this: you never get trained in leadership. You don't really get trained in fundraising. You don't get trained. You say and show up with a plan. There's going to be coaches that are Googling, like, what is a fundraiser plan? They don't know. We're not trained. We're trained in X's and O's, how to do a position group. Now maybe you get some coordinating time.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden you're a business, like you're organizing and running a business. And so the ability to be a salesman, what A Sports does, and come in and hold your hand and teaches you, hey, here's what a good contract looks like.
Sure.
Here's how you go out and pitch this contract. Here's what you're telling them about the business side. What we talked about, the tax write-offs, the monies. They're going to hold your hand until they get your school back in the black. Like,
sure.
That's crazy to go out and get a $500,000 or a $250,000 board, and you've got this big plan to get it installed at your school, regardless of size. And then they're like, oh, also we're going to hold your hand until it's paid off.
Sure.
Right? And then you get into, what is it, like 92% of schools, this bad boy is paid off at $350,000 is paid for within the first year.
Yeah.
So you never even make a payment. That's wild to be able to come in and have them teach you that much business in that amount of time.
again, and not to beat a dead horse, but again, win, win, win. When you get a community partner, you're bringing in the revenue that's needed to really do things at the level that every team wants to do them at. And then also you get this scoreboard that is next level that maybe some of your competing schools don't have, or maybe
Right.
if they do, at least now you've got it too. And it's paid for, because nobody wants to take on something that you don't know. When you're already in a climate where you're already maybe struggling to generate revenue, adding an extra expense, a pretty large expense, without the income to help pay for that. That's a scary thing for an AD, because everybody wants to be good stewards of the money that's going towards kids.
Right.
If it's a business, it's one thing, but like you recognize that every dollar you bring in is going to kids, and nobody wants to screw up money that's going to kids. So
Yeah.
I hope not, at least.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
No. Well, that's a great conversation. Looking into the future a little bit now.
Yeah.
As we know that sports, we know video boards are becoming a thing. Turf was it, 5 years,
Sure.
10 years ago,
And now that's a standard.
That's migrant,
Yeah.
right? That's become the standard. Where do you see, like, as an athletic director, and we're still staying on the fundraising train here? Like, what do you think's in the future? What's next?
Sure, yeah. We have a district AD, and who's soon retiring, but I always tell them, like, man, this isn't high school. It's become an arms race, and if you're not really moving the ball, you're falling behind, and you're getting behind the change. We'll keep using our football analogies here, and so. Obviously, the more and more you see, you saw those large stadiums in some of these football-rich states, the Texas, the Georgias, the Floridas, where you would see these big stadiums, and they look like small colleges. But one of the things that, I was talking yesterday is like, man, they're going in some of these small 2A schools, and they're installing these things because this is going to be, I really believe that this is the standard. You have these panels, it's not scary when you watch them put them together. It's literally, if you can hook your TV up with an HDMI cable, it's literally like you pop it in, you connect a couple cables, and then the computer does all the work for you. The computer, when you sit down, does all the graphics, so you don't need a graphic engineer to come in and do anything. And so obviously that plug and play, to me, this is the future. Multi-field facilities, things like that, indoor facilities, those are all kind of the new way. Even something as small as a shot clock, which has been a big point of contention in our state.
We just passed it in Oklahoma 2 days ago.
Sure.
To get a shot clock.
Those are all the things that on the horizon. In terms of facilities, there's a ton of other topics. I mean, I could sit here all day and talk about, but as we move forward in athletics, you can kind of watch, if you watch, not so much the pros, but if you watch college athletics, you can any issues that you're seeing there, you can almost guarantee you're going to see it in 5 to 10 years. It's kind of, there's this idea of a transfer, just because the college game is in their face all the time, and people are just taking that mindset and bringing it to high school athletics.
We just lost our light. They're currently shutting down the big board, and lighting guy.
I might look a little better on camera now without all that light.
Get all that light on. Well, man, I appreciate it. It's been a great conversation. Thanks for taking some time out of your day.
Hey.
I know that y'all are pretty busy.
Yeah.
I hope that Mark and the guys can bring it home for you.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right,
And thanks for having me.
Yep.
Go Broncos.
You guys that are listening, there you go. Go Broncos. Thanks, man. You guys that are listening, asports.com. You can reach out to Mark Bridges. He's the guy. If you're watching in the Kentucky area, we've got RJ and his wife Holly are going to be up here working this area now. Ryan's over in Oklahoma. I'm sure there's another guy somewhere in your area, but Mark is kind of the big centerpiece there. So holler at Mark. Let him come in and talk to your administration. He can walk through that magical checklist that helps him understand that you've got to invest, right? And you just talked about it, Coach. It's the arms race. So you're either going to get ahead now and you can be like the front runner, and kids are coming to you in this transfer happy situation, this environment we're in, or kids can be going to the other school because they're doing the things that you refuse. So it's not a ultimatum or anything, but there's definitely tools out there to help you get ahead in that arms race. Appreciate it. Coach Chambo here. We're maybe the last live event here for Louisville. We'll see you all next time.
Appreciate it.